Hey, great day to you all. I trust that you were all able to wake up super grateful to be alive again another day in this experience. And I trust that you were all able to set that high vibe for yourself by telling yourself all of those amazing things that you needed to hear. Like you're strong, you're smart, you're beautiful, you are capable, and you're going to flow. Feeling that love over worry and flowing from that state like water over rocks with ease and great force, yet least effort. Well, by special request, this is probably the most informative live that I will ever drop out here. Yes, as much truth and information that I do drop. After this one, you're really going to know where you are. Why? Because I did a live and I explained climbing Jacob's ladder in Empowering You to Flow, the private group. And I was asked to come out and break it down about how it affects your overflow, or how does it affect your flow. So, look, when I talk about flow, I talk about feeling your love over any type of worry. Why? Because worry is man-made. Simple as that. The only reason why you worry is because your parents taught you how to. Literally. So when you realize that, you're going to stop running like everybody else did, repeating patterns of worry that don't make sense. You've got nothing to worry about. You're you. You've got the power of your highest potential flooding you every day. Do you know that when you wake up, you're in a heavenly state? Yeah, you are. And your body feels in a heavenly state to be alive. Very much so. But I'm going to break it down because I was asked to. Somebody said, Toby, please, can you come out and show us how what you were explaining is relevant to the overflow? Well, you can't be in an overflow state unless you actually hit your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Now, I've been talking about this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And I explained it yesterday in the group. But I'm really going to break it down for you guys today to make you really grasp the true meaning of it. Because this year, you really got to shed what you've outgrown. Yeah. And we've all outgrown things. So this is probably one of the most important lives for you to really see where you're at in your own self. Because it's not about anybody else. And you're going to understand why my programs are named what they are, actually. All right? So, let's get into it. There's 3 states of consciousness, okay, that you can embody for yourself. There's the me, myself, and I, okay? And y'all know about me, myself, and I. Wow. These 3 aspects of yourself, you must merge into one and stand in the I. Now, if you don't know what these phases are, you don't know where you're at within your own self. So yes, there is the me phase, which is a victim abuser mentality. It's a consciousness of lower density. You feel like you're a victim to life. You feel like you're a victim to everything that's happening to you. Yes, that's a real state of being. And when you step into the myself, you're starting to empower the self. So you're starting to think about yourself and feel for yourself. Well, the I phase is when you've reached your embodiment of genuinely who you are. Yeah. So a lot of people think that they've embodied their truest state or their original blueprint, but without taking the steps and climbing Jacob's ladder, unfortunately, no. You're still clogged like a blocked sink. And you're still in the me or myself phase until you totally dismantle all of the blockages. But I'm going to really show you all what I mean, okay? So that you'll really get a real understanding of it all. So I'm going to do what I did in the group, and I'm going to break it down. So I'm going to turn this around. Why? Because what you're looking at right now is the vibrational chart of consciousness, okay, of dimensions. All right? Now, if you want to take a screenshot of that, you can. because I'm backing it up so that you guys can really understand it. Now, yes, I will move this stuff to make your room. Why? Because I'm going to really break that down for you. So if you guys want to take a screenshot, go ahead. Why? Because right here, if you see at the bottom, the lowest frequency that you can hold in your body is shame. And this is where the walk of shame comes from. So what happens? The walk of shame. Well, when people shame you for things, or you feel ashamed of who you are, or you just are ashamed of your life, or ashamed of the trauma that you carry, or all of that, I want you to see that right here you are in the state of hell. This is a lowered self, is when you're frequenting at 20 to 199 hertz. Now, this is the victim abuser consciousness. So there's 3 states. As you can tell, there's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. Okay? So, to make you guys really, really get it, this is the me phase. That's the me. This is the myself. Myself. Actually, that looks pretty, I should do it properly and go like this. So you guys can really see it, because that looks really sloppy and hard to understand. So, you got the me phase. Me. And then myself and I. Alright, so now to understand these 3 phases of consciousness, you have to understand what's a part of them and what's in them. So there's the 3, me, myself, and I. Well, you're going to know where you're at in your life if you're in a me, victim abuser consciousness, whether you're in a self-empowerment stage of myself, or the I. You've realized the power within you, and you live by the inner love, oneness, and presence of non-duality of self, all right? So, now, in each of these phases, let me get a ruler for you. Now, shame is the lowest frequency that you could feel. Shame. Now, we've all been shamed. We've all shamed ourselves. But the key is, are you still shaming yourself? Are you still shaming others? Because if you're shaming yourself and others, you are in a victim abuser consciousness of the self. So this is all related to you and yourself. It has nothing to do with somebody else. All right? Now, I broke this down in the group pretty clearly, but people wanted to know, how does it affect your overflow? Well, I'm going to show you, correlated to your actual energy centers. All right? Now, if you're living in shame, guilt, despair, grief, and fear, look at that. What's the state you're in? Under that, it's hell. So if you're feeling any of these lowered vibrations within yourself, you're actually inducing the state of hell within you. And in that state, you can only think about yourself. Think about how life is doing something to you. But it actually isn't. It's just your mindset and what you believe and what you're inducing. Now, even if you go up into desire, anger, pride, you're still living in a purgatory lowered self. Why? Because if you want to color code it with the chakras, okay, you can see red, orange, and yellow. Well, let's go red, orange, and yellow. That's your root, which is your survival, your sacral, which is your creation and pleasure center, and your willpower. So while you're living in the state of hell, in these lowered frequencies, you're totally locked away from your willpower, your pleasure of creation, and your safety. You see? So it is not what you're made of. It is self-induced. Because truly what you're made of in this is a heavenly state of, your energy knows it's safe. to make you wake up. It's pleasured to create your life for you, and it has the willpower to do all and everything in your entirety of existence. All right? So it's a contradiction to what truly you're made of. Living in this state, well, that induces great suffering on your being. And what does it take? It takes the courage to look at yourself. This is a self-empowerment phase. I'll bring it up so you see it. The self-empowerment phase. Well, in order to get into the self-empowerment phase and come out of the victim abuser consciousness, you literally have to have the courage, right here, the courage to become neutral to your own life experience and your own self. It's not about becoming neutral to the world outside of you. No, it's about having the courage to become neutral to your own self in order to keep climbing Jacob's ladder. So you got to be neutral to everything that you've lived. Have the optimism in knowing that it's all beneath you. You see what I mean? No matter what you've lived, it's all beneath you. You've used it to get ahead. You've used to climb. So you've got to be neutral to it. Well, that's how you become, taking the courage raises your frequency, and becoming neutral to your experience even raises your frequency more. Then you stop beating yourself up in this me consciousness victim abuser, and you start to realize for yourself that you can be optimistic because you're in an empowered state. You see? By realizing that you are not any of this. You've just broken free. So it powers you up here in this self-empowerment phase of myself. Okay? So right there, you're doing for yourself. You're not trying to do for anybody else. Well, you have to have the courage to become neutral and be optimistic about accepting your inner light. And that's all on you. Because we all have that inner spark of light, actually from the moment of creation, moment of conception, that spark of light happened, and it doesn't go out until you're dead. Well, if you don't embrace it and accept it, you cannot step into your self-realization phase. It blocks you if you cannot accept yourself. Okay? So you must accept the self, your own being, and realize that it was all just a mere experience and learning to actually get you to climb Jacob's ladder into inner wisdom of the self. You take all of this learning, you apply it. You have to apply the learning in order for it to turn into wisdom. Okay? Well, the inner love and inner light and inner knowing sits right here in the fourth and fifth dimensional state, which I'm going to bring you over here to know you're stepping into your own paradise. Now, your own paradise is what? It is the higher self. Because you know better. Well, you've got the lowered self. You've got the rational self. When you start to rationalize why you need to put you first, and you start to empower yourself through having the courage to do so, brings you into the rational self because you're no longer living as the victim. Okay? Now, if you're no longer living as the victim, you're actually becoming very rational in your thinking and your logical because you're not living by a heightened fear response. You see, so you can be rational. And this is where you can start making decisions about what you want for yourself and what you want for your life, which actually gives you the courage and the optimism to accept change and accept the truth of your inner light and inner wisdom. Because look, green and blue, if we're talking chakras, here's your root, here's your sacral, here's your solar, here's your heart, here's your throat. Okay? Third eye. This here is your crown of your being. Well, after the crown, there's your gold right there. A pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's a real thing. But people don't get it. They just don't believe it for themselves. Well, you see, I've taught people to come out of their lower self, jump into their rational self, make some serious choices for themselves, and embody their higher self. Well, living in their higher self state, it's a state of paradise where they are loving themselves, have accepted their inner light, their inner wisdom, and their inner love, and become one with it, standing in the truth of it. Well, this brings them to mastery of their higher self. And without all of this, well, they cannot master their higher self or embody the frequency of it. Well, they still have other selves to meet and greet and embody and master in order to hit where I'm at here, the absolute self. Now, I can't lead people through this if I have not journeyed it myself. Now, even here, you've got your planetary self from 540 to 599. You have your galactic self, 600 to 699. You have your universal self at 700 to 799. You have your super casual self from 850 to 999, and then you have your absolute self at 1,000. And this is why I remind you, 1,000 hertz to be I. Why? Because I am at the full embodiment of the I, self, full consciousness. There is no ego. You must dissolve the ego here to actually embody heaven. Because the gatekeeper of heaven is your ego. So when you realize the inner light, the inner wisdom, the inner love, and become one with it, well, this is where you have to drown the ego so that you can fully be present in the self. Okay? So this is in the purple here to reach your heavenly state. This is where the ego has to go. And it's as simple as that, or it blocks you from, it's the gatekeeper of your crown. Okay? That's the ego. So you must dissolve the ego in order to embody the I am presence of non-duality and the universal consciousness. You see? Because the ego is built on fear and grief and despair, and it's built on all of this. But every day that you wake up and open your eyes in the absolute self. It's just everything that you have stored in your body keeps you away from it. So it's not about acquiring a new state of self. No, it's called mastering your own being and pushing through to get to the gold. Yes. And you must face all of these versions and aspects of the self in order to get from a point of turning your own hell, into heaven. And this is why I wrote the book, Turning Hell into Heaven. To make people realize that it's a journey, but they can take it. And with very small changes, they can keep climbing. But I tell you, during any of this climb, you can be up here in your inner wisdom and your inner love, and you can quickly slide right back down into the pit of shame. And then it's even harder to climb back out. Yes. And this is what happens to people that don't have support, energetic accountability, and somebody like me going, keep going. No. Keep going. Go for the gold. You're not done yet. Come on. Let's go. Okay? Because the people, they're coming out of the victim abuser. Well, when you reach the part of trying to dissolve your ego and the power that it has over you, well, your ego is going to try to slam you back down into the state of hell because that's where it's used to living. Yeah, it doesn't know anything else. So it's going to throw you back down there into the pit of hell. And it'll keep doing it until you absolutely dissolve it. Well, to acquire your crown and your absolute self and surpass the heavenly state, well, you must dissolve the ego, because there is no ego in this dimension. No, there's no fear. Where do you see fear in these higher dimensions? You don't. Fear is down here, and that's where it stays. It doesn't shift in vibration. Fear is the vibration of fear, and that's where it stays. Well, all kinds of things make you fearful. And what are some of those things? Opinions. You're scared whether you'll make enough money, be enough, have enough, get what you want. Everything's based out of fear. Everything. Oh, don't act like that, because people are going to think this. Oh, don't say that. People are going to do this. No, it's all fear. It's all shame. It's all guilt. It's all people trying to construct people into being who they want them to be, instead of allowing them to be themselves. So this is why it's so important. Why? Because when you look at these colors, they correlate exactly to the chakras. All right? So let's bring this over. All right? And let's go like this so you can see them both. And you can really correlate them. Well, this is your crown. So somebody asked me, Toby, how does this affect your flow? Well, if you're living in shame and guilt, you're stuck here in your body. So what does that look like? Hypersexual. You don't feel good. You try to fulfill your own survival out of any means necessary. Your fear-based response you've been desensitized to. You're trying to seek external validation. And why? Because you're in the victim abuser. And it's all about me, 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 me. You don't give a fuck who you're doing or what. It's all about you. Okay? You're not even flowing. You're blocked up. All of this is blocked. You're living out of here. So, shame, guilt, despair, grief, fear locks you into survival. And it goes against what that energy center does for you, which is gives you safety to be rooted in you. Without this working, your legs wouldn't work energetically, because this controls your legs. So if you're all dismantled here and everything else is clogged up, well, then guess what? You have no ability to feel creative. You have no ability to feel pleasure. Nah, you feel like shit. You feel confused. You feel in chaos, conflict, confusion. You're not feeling creative and pleasured by your life. Not at all. Okay? Well, in that sense, then you also don't realize the power that is flowing through you in your willpower. So this willpower center literally makes all possible for the body and for you. You can will anything you want. You will it in. The will floods the heart and fuels whatever desire you have in your heart. When you speak the truth of that desire in your throat, it manifests. But you have to be tapped into your willpower to make anything happen. Because you can make anything happen. But if you're not tapped in here, let's say you're living in survival, you're scared of what everybody thinks, you have zero flow because you're all clogged up. And each of these depend on each other to work. So if one of them is fucked, they're all fucked. Well, if you're living in fear, shame, guilt, blame, and you're living as a victim, your entirety of your body's fucked. So don't even worry about having an overflow. You don't. You're clogged. You're clogged. So this is why when I was asked to come out here and explain it with the overflow involved, well, guess what? To have an overflow, to be in a state of overflow, well, guess what? You have to have dismantled the ego to acquire the purple. Now, where's the purple? That's your crown of knowing, cosmic energy. If it's not your I know and the cosmic energy fueling you that is in control, it is your ego that is. simple. Now, your ego blocks you from your knowing. Why? Because you believe what your ego tells you more than your own knowing. You see? Well, if you cannot dismantle the ego, you cannot be in an overflow state. It's impossible. And actually, being in an overflow state and being fully aligned means every single one of these centers are flowing, connected, activated, and rejuvenating each other and flowing freely within the body. If you have one that's out of whack, including this one, well, then they're all out of whack. So, this is why you have to stay in the truth of your being and climb Jacob's ladder and really master the self and go through these stages of awareness, go through each level of the rungs, understanding that, yes, if you do not keep going, you'll get kicked right back down to the bottom and your ego will drown you on purpose. Why? Because its job is to keep you safe from the heavenly power that you hold within. And guess what? Everybody every day wakes up in a heavenly state. They dismantle it for their own self according to what they infuse on themselves or what state of consciousness they operate from. You see? And this is why I say all I have to do is breathe. And people think that that's ego. No, it is actually sitting in the great void, already receiving, literally, the gold. Okay? I can sit in the nothingness of myself, knowing that I am love, and all I have to do is breathe. Because I've attained the gold at the end of the rainbow. And I've kept going. By giving divine grace and love, and unified field, myself, super casual truth, I tell you all, I stand in truth. I speak truth, nothing but. I don't give a shit. Well, because that's a state of consciousness. That's the part of my foundation for full consciousness. And all of this depends on myself and me and I. Okay? Now, where does anybody else sit in that? They don't. So this is why I will not dismantle what I've acquired for anybody. Because I am fine. Because sitting as I and nothing but, I sit with everything and all. Literally. So, how does this affect your flow? Well, if you're guilting yourself, you're dismantled here. If you're fearing yourself, if you're holding any kind of fear, you're dismantled here. If you're feeling any kind of shame, you can't create. You got no power. And you're walking on yourself. So you're in a state all the way. You're walking on yourself. You're feeling grief for anything that you've lost instead of feeling its energetic force and aliveness still being there and honoring the truth of love. You can't feel it. Well, if you can't stay in the truth of your being and the truth of the realness of the energetic force that flows through you, you're dismantled here. Which what? You're a clogged sink. So what happens? You feel like shit. You got no energy. You're all over the place. You can't sleep. You can't feel good. You can't create anything. You're sitting in stagnancy, and that's poisoning you. And it's as simple as thinking anything. This is sending the commands to your body. Your own illusion and ego. You see? Because the crown here is blocked by the ego. This here, your third eye, is blocked by illusions. So what are the illusions? Well, that you have to be fearful of anything. You have to feel ashamed of anything. You have to be in despair about anything. When you're tapped into your power and know it, you're not scared of shit. Because there's nothing more powerful than the power of your soul. So where are you? Are you sitting there as the victim? Are you sitting there as the victim to your life? And you're abusing the shit out of yourself? More than life did? Recreating stories of the past that don't exist, that are half the time fucking lies anyway? And I'll say it. Or are you sitting in a self-empowerment state? Or have you realized the power of your inner love and wisdom and become one with it? And allow that to be present without duality? Because there is no good or bad. No, it's all relevant and unique to your experience. So the non-duality right here. Okay? Here always there's that double-edged sword. Well, when you get here, there is a real non-duality state that you embody. So there is no good or bad. No, there isn't. And when you realize that for yourself, you're going to stop applying it in self-inducing suffering. You see? But you have to really know your inner light, your inner wisdom, your inner love, and become one with it all and stand in the truth. Look at the color. Stand in the truth of it all to even unlock your crown. Well, yes, it affects the overflow. Because if your energy is not flowing freely up here, up here, up here, and spewing out your crown, well, you're not in an overflow state. Because this, from here, this is the turning point. So this goes down, goes down, goes down, goes down. And how does it do it? Well, this ends up in a bubble, okay? And this ends up in a bubble, okay? And guess what? Our middle here is our center. Well, our center is fueled by love. And this is your connection to your soul. So if you cannot be a solid biofield because you cannot overflow, well, then you have no protection for your own self in your own energetic field. And that puts you in survival too. Simple. So I told you all that you would really understand why my programs are what they are. Wow. Empowering you to self-mastery. Why? To get people from a victim mentality to a self-empowered state. To begin with. So empowering you to self-mastery and acceptance. All right? What after? Mastery of the higher self. Why? Because once you have empowered yourself, you must get to know your higher self and master that to keep going. Well, mastery of your gifts, advanced initiation. Why? Because once you get to the heavenly state, there's all kinds of gifts before you can even acquire the pot of rainbow, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that you must know. You got to know yourself. That's a part of embracing universal consciousness. Is the power of your gifts. Simple. Well, maybe now y'all will get it a little more than you did before, and understanding that, you're an energetic ball of love and joy first. And if your ball of love and joy is not intact by its own capacity to, well, then you're fucked. Living in the state of hell. Well, if you're interested in turning your hell into heaven, let me know. Because I have the quickest way to get you there. Yes. And get you out of this me stage and get you into the thinking about yourself stage, and then empowering your own I in your own presence of the heavenly state. Because that's what it's all about. Hey, Andy. Yes, love you too. But that's what it's all about. Simple. And, you know, a lot of people, they don't really get it. So how does it affect your overflow? Well, guess what? If you're living here and you're pooled here, you're not feeling any of this. Not at all. Because you're locked and barred into the state of hell, and that's what you keep inducing on yourself, and that's what keeps inducing the victim mentality state, and nobody is doing that to you. That is your own self doing it, and that's why I empower people to master themselves energetically, because you master your energy, you master your heavenly state, and you acquire the gold at the end of the rainbow. Well, you've got to do this journey of climbing Jacob's ladder to even reach and attain that gold. And if you don't have somebody who's walked that journey or can prepare you for what's next, oftentimes you'll find yourself back in the pit of hell, as I did, over and over and over again, trying to make that climb by myself. And I had to face death. How many times? To level up, level up, level up. Death of the old self. Death of this. The victim me abuser, death of the empowered self, so I could step into my realized self and embody the love that fuels me and become one with it. So to flow. So let me put it like this so y'all can see it. So to flow and to feel love, so, to flow and to feel love is here. Why? Because you're in your heart space here and you've become neutral to your existence. You don't even have to be accepting of it all yet. You just have to start becoming neutral to your experience so that you can have the optimism and acceptance of accepting yourself. To begin with, you got to accept yourself in order to be able to embrace your inner light and actually love yourself in the truth of it. Well, so to flow and to feel love over worry is you're flowing in your baseline, in your center. You see? And all of the worry is underneath that. You see, that's all man-made. So if you choose to feel the love, well, you're choosing to accept yourself and to empower yourself with loving yourself back to life, to your fullest capacity. Well, your fullest capacity daily is this heavenly state. And walking around as the absolute self. But only if you choose that for yourself. You see? And this is where the ego has to be dissolved in order for you to embody the heavenly state, or it will lock you away from it. You see, your cosmic energy, your crown, okay? You literally have to dissolve the ego's power over you because it's playing keep away. It wants to keep you away from your heavenly state because you were convinced as a child that walking around in this heavenly state was wrong. And it was wrong to be like that. Why? Because, you're too loud, you're too this, you're too that. Go sit down, go find something to do. How many times you guys got your ass kicked as kids? Any of you get raped like I did? Anybody get beaten like I did? Anybody have to deal with shit as a kid that they should have never had to? Well, that's what keeps you locked into the state of hell. In the shame, grief, despair, fear of making the changes and getting over being angry about it all. See, and this is why when people start to wake up and do the work, they get fucking angry. Yeah, they do. They get angry at everything they've had to live. They get angry at the people that have hurt them. They get angry. But if you keep going, the anger is a real foundational stepping stone for greatness. But you got to keep going. But no matter what's happened to you in this life, become neutral to it all. Because that's where the big win is. And to have the courage to do that. Okay? It doesn't matter what you've had to live. You can still flow and feel that love. Because that's what fuels you daily. In a heavenly state. You know, the first minute when you wake up, your body is in heaven. To be alive and to be... You know, look at how a kid jumps up out of bed. So yes, this does affect your flow, and it does affect your overflow state. Yes, it does. Because if you're dismantled anywhere, you have dismantled your own vibrational, energetic field. Okay? And we've got an energetic field for the lower and for the upper. And how does it fuel? From our crown. So if you are not flowing in completion and have dissolved your ego, you are not overflowing at all. You're clogged up. Well, I'm grateful that you reached out and asked me to break this down again. But yes, it does affect your overflow state. And this is what makes you sick, is because your energy is not flowing through you freely. Like a flowing river. And it must be. And this is why a lot of people don't get it. Because not too many have acquired the state that I have in this lifetime. Well, that's a part of loving myself back to life. And getting it done. No matter what. Oh, and I know that the invisible shackles that want to keep you in hell and feed off of your life force and keep you all chaotic and running around and with no stability and security. Well, you need security and safety in self the same way your energy does that for you. You have to be in total alignment with your energetic truth. Well, if you don't know your energetic truth or flow from it, well, then you're lying to yourself. Simple. And your body will feel the effects of it. Yes, very much so. So I'm super grateful that I was asked to come out and relate it to the overflow. But your energy centers, they give you safety and security the minute you wake up. They don't have any fear in there. Okay? Your sacral chakra is pleasured to create life for you. So you have safety and security. You have the pleasure of creation. Your willpower does everything and all for you. You got nothing to worry about. Well, the love that fuels you is the sustainable force for all things. Well, that's what's feeding your safety and security, your pleasure of creation, your willpower to do all. And it's also flooding yourself. It's loving your organs. The energy of love is feeding you life. Well, that's why when people speak lovingly to their organs, they heal. Because there's nothing more soothing than the sound of your own voice to your own body. Well, if you can't speak the truth of your energetic force in your being and who you truly are, well, you're dismantling the love for self and all of its capacities because you're lying to yourself. And it keeps you in an illusionary state, believing that you're something you're not. Well, the illusion of who you believe yourself to be is what keeps you away from the truest insight and self-reflection that's built in. And it all plays keep away to the all-knowing. Simple. Well, I love you all enough to break it down the way I did. And simple as this. You all need to step into who you truly are. And that is the love that fuels you. Before you remembered your name, before you took on all of your family traditions, before you complied to any fucking thing in this world, you entered it as a ball of love and joy. And I suggest that you go back to it. No matter how old you are, underneath every one of your belief systems, it's love that is fueling your capacities. Well, if you can't be in the truth of that, then you are locking yourself to hell as we all ascend to a paradise state of living, of consciousness, and of embodiment. That's not on anybody but you. And you can choose whatever you want for yourself. And it definitely doesn't have to do anything with me because I've done the work. I'm sitting at the pinnacle of the top going, oh, look at this view. I love y'all. And this is why I do it. If you have any other questions, please reach out. Let me know. But I think I've broken it down pretty clearly for you all. But it's a choice. Okay. All right, I'm being told that I must. All right, so now, actually, we talk about the New Earth frequency and all of the energetic shifts. And I've spoken about a natural purge on the planet. And I've spoken about people needing to get right with themselves or they're going to be washed away. Well, what does that truly mean? Because I'm being told I better drop it. I'll show you. All right, well, the construct of what we live under keeps us in fear. Everything is fear-based. Religion, food prices, the economy, all of the politicians, everything is fear. Well, the energies that are hitting the planet, the CMEs, which are coronal mass ejections of the sun, and the light codes that have been hitting this planet, are forcing the frequency. It's the truth of all things that is hitting the planet. So it's love. So what's hitting the planet? These light codes. Inner light, inner wisdom, inner love, and oneness for all. And its presence is known. And it cannot be avoided. And it cannot. So right here is the frequency that we are all living in right now. Energetically on the planet. Why? Because of all of the shifts and the changes. Well, if somebody cannot realize that their inner light, their inner wisdom, their inner love, or become one with it in this new humanity consciousness, well, they will not exist. Do you see fear anywhere here? Do you see grief? Do you see despair? Do you see any anger? Do you see any pride? Do you see any guilt? No, you don't. There's none of it. So people that choose to stay in these frequencies cannot play in this frequency. While this higher frequency wins. It'll eat this lowered frequency like Pac-Man. This doesn't have a chance to sustain itself here. Well, I hope you all get that now, too. So, if you want to sit in this, your victim abuser mentality, when the world is going into a self-realized, I-empowered state, you're fucked. You chose that for yourself. So what does that look like? You feel sick. You have no energy. You're feeling confused. Your ears are ringing beyond any kind of hearing anything. Yeah. You got neck pains. You don't know what's going on with you. You feel like you're heading to death. Well, guess what? You are if you're living as the victim abuser consciousness. And because I stand in the super casual truth. I can say the truth very casually. And this is why it's time to step up for your own being and not anybody else. Because as long as you're stepping up for everybody else and not your own being, well, guess what? You've just sold yourself out for them to exist. I encourage y'all to step into your power. I love y'all. Have a great day. Peace.